Well, you're tuned in to Night Sounds, Barry and Joe here on the radio. And who's that? That's Keith. That's Keith from We Are Scientists.
That's
in the middle.
who it is.
Look at who's finishing our sandwich here right in the middle. It's Keith from We Are Scientists, man. So you've been doing this for quite some time, dude. That's pretty cool.
Indeed. Yeah, I think we're well, technically we started in 2000, but that we were essentially more like an informal club in 2000. We weren't really a band. We didn't have true songs. We kind of mainly sat around and talked about being a band. But so yeah, I'd say like we're 2023 is probably like exactly a 20-year anniversary of legitimacy.
So wait, so in 2000, approximately what age were you? Because I have a theory here.
I'm gonna guess 22.
Yes. Okay. So the theory holds true. While you and your friends were sitting around in a circle talking about like, hey, we should do a band. All us other guys at 22 were like, man, we should open a bar. We totally should. It would totally rule. We would be the best bar owners ever. So it's like at 22, you were just like, oh man, we should start a band. We would be the best band in the world. It would be great. It's like how Oasis started. They were like cruising around singing, saying like, man, all this Manchester stuff sucks. We should start a band. We'd be the best band in the world. And they did that for 5 years until they actually started a band. So, Hey, more power to you. See, it's the early 20s of male aging. That's what we do.
Yeah, but Keith had a cheat card because he had known his buddy since he was like a kid, like the other guy, Chris, right?
Well, we'd known each other since college. We'd actually probably, I guess when we started the band, we'd really only known each other about 2 years. But yeah, I consider collegiate age, childhood. Apologies to college age listeners. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm old enough now that I would say those, the kids, college kids,
the youths.
Yeah.
All the youths.
That's probably a preferred terminology.
Like my goddaughter just started college, and so now I feel like ancient. Like moved away. I gave her like the Amtrak gift card to like go explore the East Coast. It'll be so much fun. And I'm like, oh man, I'm old. Like my friends' kids are going to college. Oh wow. I feel like I just got out, and it was like 25 years ago.
Yeah. That's why I've forsaken having kids, because when you don't have that metric in your face at all times, you can convince yourself you're still a youth.
I know. I do every day. It doesn't work, but I try.
Yeah, no,
it works for me.
Really work.
I'm rocking it. I'm fine with it. I'm cool. I'm still.
There's plausible deniability, I would say.
Plausible deniability.
Momentary plausible deniability.
Especially when Barry shaves. Barry shaves and it takes like 15 years off his age. He gets the beard going, and it's like he looks older than I do. And then he's like,
homeless
feels bad about it, and then he shaves, and he feels young, then he feels good about it, then he grows it back a little bit, and then he feels old again. See, it's a pendulum.
Yeah, but Keith, you have that look, though. You look like a rock star, you know what I mean? Like, you've always looked awesome on stage, and like, because like, okay, like in the early 2000s and the early aughts, you had like the Killers, and those guys were like shy, and you didn't, eventually, it's like, oh, that's a cool looking band jumping around. And then you're at the end of the punk rock days where everyone's like, check out all my tattoos and my butthole, And like, it was like a time.
I almost never invited anyone to check my butthole publicly.
Okay. What is he, a cat? I mean, come on.
No. Like, you know how it was. Like, it was a weird time of music between the two, and you managed to find a place between the two. I don't know why I'm doing that, but
yeah, I would say that, yeah, we certainly were more exuberant than the Killers, less butthole demonstrating than other acts.
Than the Surfers.
Yeah.
So we are scientists. I'm going to ask the obligatory question. What kind of scientists are you? Okay, I did it. We're done. We passed that point. But how did you guys come upon the name? Was it just like a joke name that you guys made up when you were in college and starting out and like, oh, hey, we're gonna be physicists. Oh, we're scientists. You know, I don't know. Like, how did it start?
I mean, it definitely was not. Well, like I said, when we began the band, it was more of a notional band than it was reality. So we actually got the name because Chris and our original lead singer and guitarist, a guy named Scott, had just moved to the Bay Area, and we had a U-Haul truck that we all went to school in like LA. So we drove all our stuff up to San Francisco, and we're returning the U-Haul. And the guy that worked at U-Haul, whose job it was to like make sure we hadn't damaged the vehicle, was he was like he was nominally examining the truck, but really examining us. And we all looked pretty similar. Like we all kind of just like we're like real skinny, 6 foot tall dudes with buzzed heads and glasses. And he was like, are you guys brothers? And we were like, no, we're not brothers. And he kind of like digested that, twist. He clearly definitely thought we were brothers. And then was like, are you scientists? And so we sort of told that story to our friends as just like, can you believe what a ridiculous encounter we had? And all of our friends thought that was utterly hilarious, that we had been owned by the guy at U-Haul.
Utterly. No, because it's utterly hilarious. I worked at U-Haul in college. I can attest, we all did that. We didn't care about the truck. We were like, who's driving that truck?
Yeah. What are you guys about?
That person over there.
What are you guys? You brothers? You moving? No. What? You
moving? Who are you guys going to? What are you doing up there, huh?
Well, of all other things he could ask you, this like the second question is what after brothers? No, not brothers. Well, what are you, scientists?
I mean, he definitely knew we weren't athletes. I'll give that to him.
That's so funny.
You didn't move on to like cousins first or anything. You just went straight from brothers to like, oh, they must be in a professional organization together.
Yeah. What other possible reason would they look so similar to one another? Working in the sciences.
Working in the
it's
science.
The only explanation.
Yes. Only. Exactly.
Now, have you taken that to your touring? Do you act like scientists when you're backstage? Like, I only need a certain amount, like, my water has to be a pH balance level of 0.758.
We do no.
They're on the phone. They're like, I was talking to Brian May yesterday about the new galaxy that was just discovered, and they talk astrophysics all the time.
When we talk to Brian May, it is only about car racing, jet skis, no
all the
science.
Other stuff.
Yeah,
no stars with you.
Are you guys still living in LA?
No, we all moved to New York immediately after. Well, Chris and I moved back to LA for like a year in 2000, and we moved to New York in 2001. So we've been here since then.
Before or after 9/11?
I moved in May 2001. Chris moved to New York September 10th, 2001.
How about that?
Oh my God!
Yeah,
cutting it close there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Where were you living at that point? Were you in one of the boroughs?
Yeah, we were living in like South Brooklyn at that point.
Okay,
like Bensonhurst. So.
Oh yeah. Wow! So you had to. So you guys
times.
All got evacuated toward the coast, didn't you?
Well, no. I mean, South Brooklyn's far enough away from downtown Manhattan that like we weren't moved or anything, but close enough that it was we felt chillingly local to what was going on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that must have been a shock coming from Los Angeles. You move, and then like the biggest terrorist event in our history happens. How did that influence you early on in the band? How did you guys stay together? That would have been like a huge shock.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been sort of discussed before that there was really a pretty intense sense of community in New York City immediately following September 11th. So I think in like some ways it's sort of, I guess the two impulses after September 11th would probably be to pack up and leave, or essentially like decide that you are a New Yorker now and like firmly commit to being part of New York, tried and true. So we kind of erred on that side.
Well, good for you. I'm glad.
Yeah.
You got a lot of local fans there in New York then? You've been there so long. You got a bunch of groupies that hang out and go to every show and like follow you to the mailbox and stuff?
You know, I don't really have many like I feel like when I get recognized in New York, it's often by people who are visiting New York and are like have that excited New York or LA thing where you're like, oh, I came to this town and then I saw like I wouldn't say I'm a celebrity, but like someone they recognized out of interest in that art.
That's celebrity. That works.
Yeah, that's totally celebrity.
Yeah, I would say if I saw you in the wild, if I was behind you in the line picking up Starbucks or something, I would say I saw a celebrity today, for sure, without a doubt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was classifying that as like recognizing someone from media, not from any personal knowledge.
It's New York, though. I forgot about the whole like, get out of my way, buddy. I'm walking to you.
There's a lot of that. There is a lot of that.
People got things to do, man. They got things. They got lives to live.
It's true.
You gotta be out of the way. Can't be like, bumping into people gawking at buildings and looking like, oh my gosh, it's a yellow cab. Like, come on.
It's like, true. It's true.
Just go watch Seinfeld or something. You'll get all that.
What's the weirdest place you heard your songs in? You ever heard it at like a Albertsons or something? You're getting at home and you hear your song on. It's like, have you ever been in a room and like nobody knows that that's my song?
I mean, that has definitely happened a lot. Where not a single person other than myself knows that is my song. I mean, yeah, sort of the dream is to be out with like my wife, maybe my parents, and to sort of be like, see, it's vaguely legitimate. There's external legitimization.
It's vaguely legitimate.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, that's what we all strive for. Did you show them the billboards when the albums come out? Over time, you're like, look,
absolutely,
there it is.
Absolutely. It is funny that I think our music doesn't necessarily really lend itself to public broadcasting as much as a more chilled out band. Like it's kind of hard to eat dinner to our music. You would definitely be gobbling down your entree.
What are you talking about?
So like, there are definitely times where I'm like, man, we should make a very chill record that shoe stores can play and like, grocery stores can happily play. And then we'd hear ourselves out a lot more often.
Bopping along in the line at the CVS, waiting to pick up your prescription. You're like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Have you ever caught someone Shazamming one of your songs?
I don't think I have. I've definitely.
That's a little intimate, though. Like going in, looking over somebody's phone. Like.
What are you talking about? I do that all the time.
I have definitely Shazammed something, wondering if it was us before. I've been like, is this a song of ours that I like? Is this us? I think once it was us, and I was like, oh yeah, I like that song.
You know what? That actually brings up a really good point because people that have, like you guys have been around for a while. So you have a catalog of music and you can't remember all of that stuff. So, it's not like every band is Fish. Every band can't just like go out there and Trey turns around and says like, hey, let's play that song. And everyone's like, okay. And they just like make it up as they go along. It's like, before you go on tour, you have to pick like, okay, what 15 songs are we going to relearn and, put in our set list? How does that work as a musician? I'm not a musician. I don't know how that works. So like, do you actually forget how to play some of the songs?
100%. 100%.
Oh yeah. Wow.
We definitely always tell ourselves at the start of a tour. Yeah. And then, we'll learn like, 25 songs. The set will generally be 20, 21 songs or something. Mm. And then, once we're out on tour, maybe during sound check, we'll like, on the day of a show, be like, yeah, hey, we should learn this other song we haven't played in a while and rehearse it in sound check and then play it that night. Never happens. Never happens. Once you're on tour, you become the laziest wretch possible. Like the last thing I want to do is be sound checking for 1 minute longer than I need to be. We did a tour with REM in like 2010 maybe, and they would bring a huge whiteboard on stage that had like 40 songs written on it that were not part of their regular set, and they'd be like, okay, what 3 new songs are we going to learn today during our sound check? Now, in our defense, REM had a lot of people doing their pre-sound check for them. So when they came on stage, all they had to do was just play like 3 songs. So they had time to make it interesting for themselves.
Well, right, but it's not just the sound check. REM also wasn't driving themselves there, making their own food, doing their own laundry, figuring out logistics and hotels for like the next city. All the other stuff that you do completely is reasonable that you are lazy once you're on tour, because
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Instead of just being on stage.
That is true. That is true.
That's not going to be the case anymore, because you're coming up on album number 8. Album number 10 is going to be around the corner. Joe, they may be like Fish. You know, they have a whole bunch of songs already.
He's like, no.
Yeah. God help me if we end up like deciding what we're going to do is have a roster of 100 songs that we rotate in and out and call them on the fly.
No way.
Hey, but what do you think about this? I just saw Incubus do Morning View in the full album. What do you think about that thing? Because I was looking around, people are loving it, and I was like, these are songs I haven't heard since forever. You know, never heard them live.
Oh man,
do you guys do that kind of thing?
Yeah, we did our first album in full a few years ago. We got the rights to like repress it from Universal, so we repressed it and did like, I think we did 4 shows or 5 shows in the UK and US where we played that first album in full. And we had always resisted it. It had been like recommended to us before. We were always like, well, you know, if we weren't putting out new albums that we were more excited about, we'd be into it. But then we repressed that first record on an off year, sort of like on a year we were writing a new record. Mm-hmm. And so we weren't really touring that year. We didn't have new music that we were like actively promoting. So we're like, you know, we can do a 4-show tour, take like that time out of songwriting and do this. And the shows were really super fun. So I think we're more open to that now, just as like, it was a fun change of pace.
I think a lot of bands are doing that. It's the nostalgia factor. Like I went to see the Blink-182 a few years back in Huntington. Was it Huntington? Yeah, I think they played Huntington. They played the entire Enema of the State album. That was with cool. Matt Skiba from Alkaline. I've also seen, I saw the Posies do in their first breaking up tour back in the 90s. They played Dear 23 front to back. That was fun. Those are fun shows. Yeah. They're fun shows for fans too, because we get to see a lot of deep cuts that we don't normally get to see live.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we did have to learn some songs we did not remember how to play.
See, I mean, yeah, come on. It's like you guys play and rehearse 25 songs. Like, I don't even know if I could like sing 10 songs full from just like any album out there. It's like that, because that's impressive. That's impressive to me. I don't know. I mean, the memory thing.
To be fair, when I say that we forget how to play them, I need to take 3 minutes to just be like, wait, what was that? Oh, right. Okay, got it.
Yeah, like, what's that word? Okay. Yeah. Let me go back into my brain 15 years ago and see if I remember that. Oh yeah, okay, it's there. I just gotta pull it out of the dust of the cobwebs and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's tricky when you've got a bunch of Lobes coming out. I mean, that's out now, right? The 8th album is out, isn't it?
It is out, yeah.
How's the response? Did you have a lot of critics go in there and say, "Oh, it's not their best," or "Oh, I'm blown away by it"?
It's a new sound. I can't like it. It sounds like our old stuff again.
How was the acclaim?
I think maybe because it does sound like pretty different from classic We Are Scientists, that people are like a little more open to it. Like, I think kind of like the closer you are to the thing people expect, the easier it is to A/B it with the what you consider the apex. So yeah, this is like a lot more like synthy and electronic beats and stuff. So it's been going pretty well, and like we've been incorporating more of it into our live set, which I think I'm the biggest like coward in the band. And when we play shows, I'm always like, if I only want people in the audience to be like, yes, play that. Whereas I think
only
like
the hits,
like
only
Chris is always like, no, I think sometimes people want to be like surprised and hear something that they're not expecting, and maybe like, are like want to come around to a song. And I'm always like, nah, nope.
Oh, come on. I've discovered some of my favorite songs by being like, oh, I don't know that track. What's that from? And then like figuring out it was like the B-side of some single from like 2003. And I'm I had no idea.
I think you're a healthier person than I am. But so yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is the first time that I feel like we've really been indulging a new album, and I don't feel like it's very indulgent, which feels good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing is, it's like it still sounds like you guys.
Yeah,
it's not like you're like a washed up metal band in the 90s trying to like reinvent themselves as grunge or something, where it just sounds like completely off.
It's not an overhaul, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. It's an amendment, and it's a growth.
Yeah,
that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah, our first album is a lot of dance beats, and there are synths all over that, so it's not. Yeah, I guess actually it's not that big a departure. Never mind. I retract what I've said.
Take it all back. Forget it.
Doodly. I'll delete it. Well, we've got our Black Friday plans set up here in LA, because you're going to come to the Roxy on November 24th. Yay. Black Friday. You're touring. You're starting your big old tour right after Halloweeny. You're starting in Canada for some reason, probably because it's close.
It is. It is pretty close. Yeah, I mean, for some reason, our agent always books our U.S. tours in a counterclockwise fashion. So they kind of always go Toronto, go west, go down the West Coast, and then come up the other way. So I don't know. Yeah, we kind of always start in Toronto. Toronto's always where we break ground.
Highway? That's all I want to know. It's like one drive I've always wanted to take, and I've never taken.
We did do a wildly extensive Canadian tour on our first album opening. Do you know the band Metric? They're a Toronto band. They were based in LA for a while, early 2000s, I guess. But yeah, we did a Canadian tour with them where we saw some deep cuts in Canada. It was pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts.
Man, I want to take that. But wait, because most people do the other way, right? So you're going across, starting in Toronto, going across, then coming down, and then doing Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA, and then going over the south. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a nonsensical routing. It's just funny that is always his default. Oh. Exactly the same route.
If it ain't broke,
yeah, who knows what a catastrophe the tour might be if we went counterclockwise.
I know, right?
We could fall apart.
Whoa, you'd have to play all your songs in reverse.
Exactly.
We'll hear all the satanic messages. It'll be great.
Oh God.
So wait, Barry,
it would be science experiment.
It would be science experiment backward.
Yeah.
All right. So Barry, when did you promise to take me to the Rainbow Room to go see them? Because I want you to take me to the Rainbow Room.
Roxy,
I mean, we'll probably be hanging out at the Rainbow Room after. I've actually never been to the Rainbow Room, despite having lived in LA for a while.
You're not missing anything, man.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're missing stuff. You got to go.
I always go there and try to find the thickest amount of dust on my, you go on it, you get your finger on a thing and you go, oh, that's a nice,
You go.
That's some Nikki Sixx dandruff right there.
You go and sit in the booth that was reserved for Guns N' Roses. That's the only reason you go to the Rainbow Room. You go there, you sit where Slash used to sit. You have yourself a beer, and then
Slash probably still sits there thrice weekly.
Yeah,
probably.
You could probably find Pauly Shore up in the neighborhood too, man.
Hey, as long as the Rainbow Room's fine. Just when we start talking about people hanging out at Chateau Marmont, then we know things are like really going downhill for that person. So Rainbow Room's fine though. Rainbow Room's fine.
Oh,
well, Keith, I'm just very excited to meet you. You're one of the pioneers of indie rock. We are scientists. Really, dude? I mean, like, you go back to the beginnings pretty much, it's consistently.
That's fair.
So
that is fair.
Thank you for doing that. We can't wait to see you coming up on your tour. You can get all the details at your website, wearescientists.com.
There you go.
And
so what do you wearescientists.edu?
Yeah,
or .gov would be a pretty baller URL.
There's all these weird ones now that you can get. That's like .ti, .um.
Well, there's a bunch of country codes and stuff, but the edu totally works. We can make a full-on informational website about We Are Scientists. We can totally gaslight people.
People can enroll.
They're an actual scientific group that does lobbying to the U.S. government. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'd like to think we can get grants that way.
Yes. I need money, so I'll do it. I'll totally do it for you. I'll write all your grant proposals.
I'll support you. I'll go out there with a clipboard in front of an Albertsons for you.
There you go.
Keith, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Cool.
Thanks for
having me.
Today.